Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. If you've ever been stuck in your skills or you're not sure on what to focus on next so that you keep progressing, then this episode is for you. Welcome to the Cheer Athlete podcast, where we bring coaches, parents, and athletes expert tips and advice to help keep cheerleaders healthy, strong, and at the top of their game. Now let's go. Today, I want to talk about the motivation and how it can be helpful to have an outside coach to keep you strong, safe, and motivated. I myself right now am struggling with, keeping myself motivated for working out. And I've started a new workout that a coach that I follow, that I actually have trained under, had put together. And it's been really helpful at keeping me on target and giving me the right tools to kind of keep me moving forward. I am able to just go access that from my computer, and then I go do my workout, and I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about what stretches am I supposed to be doing today? What am I working on? And it gives me, it's a 5 day a week program. So it actually gives me that structure of like, okay, I'm going to lift these days. On these days, I'm going to do my cardio. And something, as much as I preach it, I'm not very good at is doing my warm-ups and my I always do a warm-up, but I don't do so much activation. And it's been great because I've started doing more activation. So I'm really feeling muscles work in the way that I want to. And that's helping me because it's focused on hip strength and uh, form. I'm getting better core strength. I'm getting better hip stability, which is going to help my balance. It's going to help me to be able to climb and do all the things that I want to be able to do. So I think it's really important, having an outside coach can really help you to stay safe and strong. So today we're going to talk more about how having that outside coach who looks at your strength, your mobility, and your motivation, who prepares a workout for you that is focused on what you need, and gives you those tools to be able to make yourself a better flyer or better base with less pain, can really help to change how you progress as a cheerleader. So many athletes feel stuck. Many athletes and parents of athletes who are trying to help their kids progress don't really know how to go about progressing to be able to progress their skills, and to be able to get stronger so that they can move from one level to the next. And they don't really see that progress. And I see a lot of this on some of the Facebook groups, how do we help them progress? How to get the better jumps? How can they be a more flexible flyer? How does my base not have pain in their wrists or their back as they're stunting? And maybe the flyers can pull their heel stretches sometimes, but not all the time. Maybe they can pull it on the ground, but they can't do it up in the air. And how is the base like able to get underneath a stunt? Repetition of this doesn't always help improve. You need to improve the movement quality and also build a foundation to be able to progress from. And just practicing your skills more isn't going to help progress that foundation. It's not going to help if the foundation is not strong enough and you don't actually have the good base for being able to progress and move on. So we really need to focus on improving movement quality, improving strength outside of the skill repetition. Why is it important to have an outside coach, or a strength coach? I'm talking about. You guys are all strapped. You go to private lessons. You're practicing and you're working out at practice. You all know that there's not only so much time in practice, and your regular team coaches have to focus on the routines and the timing of stunts, and they have to look at everything coming together. So it's not necessarily going to look at the biomechanics and the individual strength. You're going to look at skill technique and not looking how to enhance the skill technique by doing outside strength training. So outside strength and conditioning coach or a physical therapist who prioritizes cheerleading can help patterns to help hip instability, can help flexibility with that instability, really looking at ankle control and maybe it's not the lower body, but more the overhead body that's limited in range of motion, that can help to progress that. Having those outside eyes can do a movement screen, can teach you how to look and see, do you have the mobility to be able to do this correctly, or do you need more work in individual areas as well? Having an outside coach also can help with motivation and accountability. As I talked about earlier, like I am more motivated when I have somebody that's guiding me, that's kind of directing me what I need to do. Like it's hard when you think, and I'm somebody who puts together workouts, um, to say, okay, I'm gonna go do this, like for the longest time I did the same workout. And squats, I did deadlifts, I did a row, I did either a push-up or a overhead press, and sometimes working on some lat hangs, but I got stuck in a rut, and it was kind of the same thing over and over again. So having an outside coach kind of gives you a different perspective, and it's more exciting because you can change it up. And it's easier to change it up when somebody else is doing it than it is for you to change it up. And then it also holds you accountable, making sure that I check those boxes, to make sure that I'm doing my workouts, and making sure that I'm staying on target. And sometimes I have to modify because of timing. I have to, but knowing that where I can put more work in and where can maybe back off a little bit is helpful. And so if I can ask that question of a coach and have somebody to talk to and run that by, it makes it that much easier for me. So, having somebody that kind of keeps track of that motivation and accountability can help build the athlete's confidence, especially for those who compare themselves to their teammates or who doubt that they can do anything. Like having somebody to really talk with and make sure that things are going right can really help. And it's easier to stay consistent when somebody checks in and tracks their progress and also celebrates the small wins by staying making sure you're keeping track, and checking in, doing the tasks that you need to be doing. That helps to build the confidence and helps to build not just the strength, but helps to build confidence, that you're able to do things because you're consistent and you stay motivated. Having an outside coach also makes sure that there's safer and smarter progressions, um, being sure that you are progressing your skills, uh, both in practice and out of practice when you are lifting, not, helps you to get stronger so that you're not progressing the skill and rushing the skill that you want to be able to do until you're ready. And then it also helps to build long-term strength, which carries over into progressing as your child ages. Not only that, but also as you are for the long haul. The strength work that I did in college built my foundation and has helped me to get stronger over through the years. Building strength today will help competition in May or in April. I think it's important to actually continue a year-round routine, and that fluctuates depending on that. The frequency of that might fluctuate and the intensity is going to fluctuate. And so this time of year, we want to maintain our strength, continue to really build it so that it makes going into competition season for All-Star a little less stressful on the body. If you're in high school cheer, it's important now to be building strength. If you're in Massachusetts, this is right around leagues and states and leagues, regionals and states, and then progressing on to regionals and nationals if you achieve that. But so right now you might be doing a little less intense workouts, but you still should be strength training. And then you transition into basketball season and you're ramping up again. You can go a little harder, through December and into the beginning of January. And then as you start to compete into February, maybe the intensity backs off. And as you get into March, it backs off maybe a little bit more. You're still doing the exercises, but you're just varying how intense you're doing and the strain that you're doing so that you build those waves into your workouts, which helps your body to feel challenged, number one, and that's how muscles grow. A good coach doesn't just push you harder, they're going to guide you to be smarter in your training. So this isn't just about more practice, it's targeted training. I hear frequently, cheer coaches will work on strength and conditioning, but we'll go from They'll do repetitions on stunts, go up, come down, go up, come down. You know, uh, bases and flyers are going to be underneath. Flyers are going to have to be stepping in and going up and holding. I like that, that the mechanism of training can be good, but you're still working that strength, you're still working that technique more than actual strength. And so it's not just using your stunt time or your tumbling time as your strength training, but actually having a program is going to carry over more. And you give your body a little chance to rest and recover in between that strength stuff. I've talked all the time, strength workouts, if you are doing them at practice, should be at the end of practice, not in the beginning, because that's going to fatigue your kids out and they're going to not have, they're not going to be as effective in their actual practice. Now, you need to do a good warm up, which will get the body moving and it is going to use those muscles. So they might be a little fatigued, but that warm up will lead to good practice. And then after practice, get into a strength routine. Or ideally, kids are going to do it on their own outside of practice. If you're practicing 2 or 3 days a week, those other 2 to 3 days outside of practice are the times to be doing these strength workouts, strength and conditioning workouts. If you are practicing at practice, if you are including some strength and conditioning at practice, make sure the flyers are, working on core strength, hip strength, ankle stability, to improve their balance and have fewer wobbles. So things like side lunges are important for flyers because you're going to get some inner thigh stretch as well as you're shifting over, strengthening the outer part of the hip, which will help. You could go from a side lunge to the right up into a lib, come back down, side lunge to the left up into a lib. Same thing forward and back. That's going to incorporate both core, hip, and ankle. I also really love step ups. Mimics a load in lid position. If you can do it slow, controlled, and get some eccentric lowering, it's going to stretch out and loosen up the ankle at the same time as it's going to build knee and hip stability, and core strength, so that you're really working. You do it as a step up to a lib even, and that you challenge the balance a little bit more. This is how you can add weight in. You can do it in different rotations, which will strengthen the hip in multiple different ways and get the ankle moving in different ways, which really helps to provide better stability when they're up in the air. Bases need a little bit more posterior chain and shoulder strength as well as core stability. It's going to help with more power, less back pain. Getting those hips good and strong really helps to prevent that back pain. Learning how to move and control the pelvis and the ribs so that they can get in that hollow position, which we look for tumblers. It's really important for both flyers and bases to be able to maintain that so they keep that core engaged as they're performing stunts. All of this getting in and getting stronger and learning the proper way to lift is going to help to help prevent injuries. It's going to help prevent falls that are not even necessarily injury prone, but just falls that happen that are deductions on your score sheet. So as you train right, you spend more time performing and less time being injured. I had a base, that I was working with a while back, who really was struggling with some shoulder pain and kind of getting underneath and not able to fully use her legs to get up and under. And as we in physical therapy worked on creating better rib and lower back mechanics so that she was able to find that stacked position, working on getting her shoulders down and back and getting some upper back strength, and then working on some squats and some deadlifts, both single leg and double leg, because it trains the body different. Able to really build some strength. She was able to get back in and stunt and tumble. And I haven't heard from her since. So I assume that she's doing well. But she got back into her season and was able to complete it and felt much better in the process. So really, strength and conditioning and doing the strength work, you don't have to be in physical therapy. You can do these things online, following a program and progressing that way. But learning the basics of how to move, I think, is important. Knowing what was missing really helped her to feel better and move better. So how can coaching keep you consistent? motivation will dip, and when a cheerleader is not feeling like they are making progress. If they're feeling invisible at practice, they're not going to be super motivated to get out and try things. Having a coach who specifically focuses on strength and conditioning is going to help bring structure. It's going to have a plan. It's going to have positive accountability, and someone to really be able to hold your cheerleader accountable to be able to then stay motivated to keep going. And this is empowerment. Like when they learn that they need to be accountable, when they learn that they have to do this work, it keeps them moving forward. I'm working with a young lady right now who's at ACL injury, and she's close to being ready to get back and doing and performing and doing her performances. She's getting better at doing her workouts on her own, but she's not quite there yet, to the point where mom is like, you need to push her to do more. I can only push her so much. Like I can give her the tools, and that's my job, is to give the tools. Like, here's your workout. I can say, you go in and check off, and you tell me when you've done your workouts. And that way I can say, like, oh yeah, I can see that you did it, and I can see how you've done. I can teach her how to do things so that, and to know what to feel. But ultimately, that drive has to happen within her. Now, I'm seeing her for physical therapy. She's not seeing me for strength and conditioning. Um, and so there's a little bit of disconnect there. Like I would love for her to see me for strength and conditioning, because then she can actually come into my app. She can follow it. I can see what she's doing. She has a way to ask me questions, and I can help her to keep progressing forward so that she's challenging herself. Kids just don't know to challenge themselves. And they need to. If they want to get stronger and they want to be better at what they're doing, they need to learn how to challenge themselves and take that responsibility themselves and become empowered to do that, and not be dependent on somebody saying, oh, go do, go line up and do your warm up. That used to drive me nuts when I would come to practice. They all knew we had to do a warm up. Okay, do your warm up. And they'd sit down and just sit and stretch. Whereas when I was structured teaching them, like, get up, you need to do your inchworms, do your crab walks, do your high kicks, whatever it might be, Frankenstein walks and skipping, and really getting the body primed to go. But they're kids and they need that little bit of extra structure and guidance. As they got older, when they went from freshmen to being seniors, they started to realize, oh yeah, I know I need to start to do this a little bit more. So it's not just about needing somebody to push you. It's about somebody to help you see what that progress is, and knowing that as you stay committed and you stay holding yourself accountable, you'll see more progress. Some tips. Start by setting some weekly, mini goals. Just track what you're doing. Track the skills, like the reps and the length of time that you're holding, or have you actually looked at videos to see that you know what you're doing and how to do them correctly. Keep a journal. Carry a notebook and say, I did this, and this. My workout this month is going to be X, Y, and Z. And keep track of the weights that you do, and how long you can do something for. And that will give you a guideline, and gives you some accountability to yourself as well. In my programs, the Confident Cheer Flyer project and the Cheer Base Backbone program, you have the ability to actually use an app that you can go on and input, what did you do for weight? What did you do for reps? How long did it take you? Incorporates, like, you do your warm up, you do your activation, you do your strength, maybe some plyometrics, then your strength and your core, and then your conditioning if you need to do that at the time. I also, I recognize, as a former cheerleader, like there's limited time, like in a former cheer coach, like there's limited time. You don't have time in practice. You have to do this at home, and you have to do your homework, and you have to go to school, and there's all these things. So having something that gives you a structure that, like, targets 30 minutes in your day that you can work these through and, get stronger, doesn't have to take you all day. Way to keep track of that, and way to put it in and, like, report back that you're doing something to me, is helpful to keeping you consistent, so that you keep moving forward. So, takeaways. You can't progress in the air. or in your stunting and your basing and your tumbling and your jumping abilities, if your foundation is weak, you need to strengthen. You need to get that core foundation, not just your core, but your baseline foundation to be able to do that. And then you can, when you are strong and you can move well, your technique and your ability to progress in stunting is going to skyrocket and is unlimited. Having an outside strength and conditioning coach will help you to move better and feel better, not just necessarily work harder. Somebody who's going to keep a look and make sure that you're doing things correctly so you don't run the risk of injuring while you're actually exercising. Motivation grows when progress is visible and is structured. So if you see yourself progressing, like, hey, I wasn't able to do 5 reps and now I can do 12 reps, like that's huge progress. Hey, it used to hurt my back when I do a push-up and now it doesn't. That's huge progress. Hey, I can now do a full push-up and I can get up underneath my stunt because I know where my core is supposed to be. That's progress, and that's motivation to keep moving forward. And it shows really how you internalize it and can be able to feel that progress in general. And then using, physical therapy based strength training, or I think my PT exercises are really more of a part of the warm up. But I use the strength exercises, the basic 6 movement patterns: a knee dominant like a squat, a hip dominant like a deadlift, a pushing motion like a push up, a pulling motion like a row, or push up, or shoulder press, or a row, or a pull up. And core activation, whether you're doing half kneeling chops and lifts to be able to keep the trunk still and not moving everything. And some split squat carry mobile, exercises that you're lunging and challenging the balance as you're doing that. That using that basic framework, I use that in the clinic, but that basic framework carries over to strength and conditioning work. And progression of how many reps and sets you do helps to build your strength long term. So, finding a good strength and conditioning routine, including a warm up and a cool down, can really help to train your body and keep it healthy for the whole season. So the best athletes aren't the ones who necessarily train the hardest, but they're the ones who train the smartest, and they're more consistent, and they actually tune into what their bodies are doing, and they know what their body needs to keep progressing. So if this episode hit home, if you're a flyer who wants more control in the air, or a base who wants to lift stronger and have less pain, my new programs are for you. I have a Confident Cheer Flyer project. The Confident Cheer Flyer project is what I called it, where you will get exercises to help with single leg stunts. You're going to build your core strength. You're going to get exercises to help make you more confident in the air, because you're not going to feel as wobbly, because you're going to be in control and feel strong, which will make you easier to hold in the air, because when you're strong, you get better up in the air. It will help bases and back spots to be stronger, be able to get up underneath the stunt, be able to find better core positioning so that they're not just dumping into their back and creating pain in through the back, but create better mobility and strength to really nail those stunts and get underneath, so they can progress from a lower level to an advanced level. It's designed to help cheerleaders like you build strength, improve stability, and feel more confident underneath the stunt. So you can learn more and grab your spot. The link will be in the show notes below. And let's get you training smarter this season. Start now so that come May, it's super easy. There's a wide variety of how you can sign up for this, and all that information is in the link below. I'd also like to say, if you found something valuable in this, please subscribe. It helps to get it more out to other people. It kind of helps the review of it. If you subscribe, leave a review for me. Is there something you'd like to see? Is this information like just boring to you? Like, leave that, because that will help me plan for episodes going further. going forward. And if it resonates with you, please share it with a friend who may need to hear this information. The more people get out there who learn how to move and how to feel better, the more people are going to have less injuries on a whole. And people are really going to start to notice when cheerleaders are doing amazing things, but not having the injuries or having those scary wobbly stunts up in the air that make you cringe. All right, that's it for this week's episode of the Cheer Athlete Podcast. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to. And as my friend Drew Keller has said, you're responsible for your own vibes. Let's go get the day.